Hey, today I'm going to show you how to make some wheel cribs. They call them wheel cribs, wheel stands. It's an alternative to using uh, a jack stand. Some people say they're safe, some people say they're not. I'm just showing you how I made mine. It's up to you if you want to do the same thing. I'm not an engineer, structural engineer of any kind, but I think it'll be fine for my usage. You use your own discretion whether you think it's a good idea for your use. So the problem I'm having is I would use jack stands to lift my car up. Like if I'm doing brakes, whatever, I have no problem using jack stands. But I have a 65 T-Bird that weighs like over 4,500 pounds, heavy, and then doing a transmission. And this transmission, the bell housing is 17 inches, so I would need to lift the car up higher than 17 inches in order to be able to slide this underneath. And I don't feel safe using these jack stands. For one, these are fully extended, and they like the higher you get, the more wobbly they feel to me. They don't feel stable. And then the where the car rests, it's not too much of a pad where it can rest. So I don't feel comfortable being that high up and having four of these on such a heavy car. And plus, these are fully extended, and if you see down here, there's not much left to support. Now these do go up to about 17 inches, and I do need to be higher than 17 inches in order to get that underneath. So these will not do. I could go buy some bigger jack stands, but I already have two sets of these, and I don't want to spend more money on buying more jack stands. Now these, you can make them as tall as you want, as wide as you want, whatever you think you need. With this setup I have right here, they are about 14 inches, but the way they work is you put the car, all four tires, like the way it is right there. So this would be the tire of the car on all four tires. So from here to here is 14, but the car's going to be resting here, and the bottom of my car is right about here. So I have 14 inches, and it's going to give me about another 5 inches of height. So it should give me about close to 19-20 inches, which should be sufficient to slide that underneath. And I feel safer being underneath these because it has such a wide area for the vehicle to rest on. And on mine, I did add these little blocks. Some people just make them without the little inserts in the front. They make them look like this all the way around. But just for a little bit more safety, I added these little 4-inch blocks because most of the weight of the car is going to be resting on the front and back, and so that way it'll be like a whole solid block hitting. Let me show you what all the material I used. So to make 4 of these exact same ones, I ended up buying 14 8-foot 2x4s. So that's 14 8-foot 2x4s in order to make 4 of these. And I had to cut 16-inch long, and I used 16 of them. So I cut 16 inches, and it takes 16 of these. And then if you want to put the little 4-inch blocks, these are 4 inches, and it took 8 of them. So you're going to need 8 of the 4-inch and 16 of the 16-inch. And then the way I started mine off is you get the two 16s, you set them like that, and then once you do that, you get another 16. You try to make sure they're square. I'm not really gonna do it like, I'm just gonna show you briefly how I did it. And then you get your other 16 and you go like this. This part will be the bottom, and then you get a drill bit just to make the holes for the screws so the wood doesn't split. So what I did is I would go 2, so I would screw right here and screw right there, and then same there, screw, and I'd go screw, but you want to do the drill part first, and then once you make the holes, you can get some screws. These are the screws I bought. Here's the screws I bought. These screws, they're 2.5 inch long, and they're, what is this? This is a 5-pound box, and I did use, so far I've probably used about half the box. But let me get some holes here and show you so you can get an idea. Okay, so I got the 16-inch 2x4, 16-inch 2x4. There's 4 of them, and I used 7/64 drill bit to do my pilot holes. So I did 4 on each one. I did one here, one here, one here, one here, and then after you make your pilot hole, the way I did is I set up the way I wanted my 2x4s set up, and then once I got it all squared and the way I wanted it, I did the pilot holes on each corner. And once I did the pilot holes, I put the screws, and then you just screw it. So then we'll go to the next step. Next step is I got the 4-inch blocks, and you center it evenly on both sides. I did my pilot hole right here, so I drilled all the way down, and then I did the same over here, and I put my screw in. Next step is put the screw on here, and then from this point on, it's just build it like this all the way until you get to the desired height you want. One thing to note is where the holes, or where you put the screws. I got screw here, and a screw there. So the next step would be to put my next 16-inch 2x4, right? But you got to make sure the screws are on the opposite end. So the screws are right here, so you'd want to put the holes right here for the screws. You'd want to screw on this side, and then the screws are on the bottom right here, so you'd want to put them on the opposite side over here. So then you'd want to maybe put one here, one here, so when it does go on top and you screw down, you're not going to hit the old screws that are on the bottom, or the other screws. So you make sure you do that there, and then when you get on this side, it's the same thing. You want to put your screws opposite to where they are, so you want to make sure they're on this side, put on the top one. So then you would put that one, and then you get your next 2x4. You do the holes, the screws, and then you put the screws in there, and then you would have to the next one would be across, and then you'd have to put your little 4-inch blocks, and then the next 2x4, and then the next 4-inch, and then just make sure it's all square and just follow it all the way up until you get to where it looks like this. And all the material for the 2x4s and the nails, I think ended up costing me close to 90 bucks. But so just keep going until you get to the desired height you would want, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's underneath the vehicle. So this is what it looks like with the stands installed underneath the tires. There's one, and then there's the other. It was kind of tricky trying to get the car up that high. I did have to jack the front up, put some jack stands to hold the front up a little bit. Then I did go to the rear, jack up the rear all the way, slid the stands underneath the tires, and then lowered it. And then I had to go back to the front and raise it all the way to the top. And the problem I had was my jack maxed out, but I couldn't get these to slide underneath the tire because the suspension was drooping down. So I had to get another jack with a 2x4, and I jacked up the lower control arm, and the tire went up a little bit. Then I pushed it in. But getting a car up this high is kind of tricky. Each car is different, so you'd have to figure that out. And I do have a correction. I did say, I think I said you only needed 16 of the 16 inches, but you need 18. So you do need 18 of the 16s to get it to this height. So once again, this does go to about 14 inches roughly. And I did end up getting over 20 inches of clearance, a little bit more than 20, but just to be on the safe side, it is 20 inches. So that's plenty of room for me to get this tranny in. Like I said, this is just my own doing. I'm not recommending it to anybody. That's your individual decision. I did put some jack stands underneath just in case, and I do have my jack in the front supporting, and I do have another jack in the back holding the rear diff up just for precautions. So that's it for this, and thank you.